The journey of the United States began long before its formal founding. The lands that would later become the United States were home to numerous indigenous peoples who had lived on these lands for thousands of years before Europeans set foot on the American continent. They created complex civilizations with developed cultures, economies, and systems of governance. In 1492, when Christopher Columbus reached new shores, Europe had no idea that it was opening the door to a new world, one that would become the cradle of immense change. The first colonies were established by the Spanish and Portuguese, but it was the British settlements in the 17th century that marked the real beginning of what would become the United States. 2. Great Misunderstandings, from colony to revolution. By the early 18th century, 13 British colonies had established themselves along the eastern seaboard of North America. Each had its own peculiarities and traditions, but they all faced a common problem: growing discontent with British rule. The British Empire imposed various taxes and restrictions on the colonies, including the infamous Tea Act, which led to the famous Boston Tea Party of 1773. This was not just a protest, but a symbol of the colonies' desire for self-determination. The colonies could no longer tolerate this situation, and the issue of independence became so pressing that on July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was signed. 3. The War for Independence, Victory through Determination. The American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, was an extraordinarily challenging trial for the colonies, as facing the powerful British Empire was no easy task. But the Americans had unwavering belief in their cause, as well as support from France, which played a significant role in the conflict. After numerous battles, such as the Battle of Saratoga, the Americans ultimately emerged victorious, and in 1783, Britain officially recognized the United States' independence. This victory was not only military but also ideological. The Americans proved that they could govern themselves and fight for their ideals, showing the world that a new nation based on the principles of liberty and equality was possible. 4. Building a nation, the Constitution and Bill of Rights. After winning their independence, the newly formed nation faced the challenge of establishing a functional government. The first attempt at governance, the Articles of Confederation, proved to be weak, and in 1787, a new constitution was drafted. This document established a federal government with a system of checks and balances, ensuring that no branch of government could gain too much power. In 1791, the Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution, guaranteeing essential freedoms such as speech, religion, and the right to a fair trial. These foundational documents laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most enduring democratic systems in the world. 5. Expansion and struggles, the growing pains of a new nation. The 19th century was marked by rapid territorial expansion. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 nearly doubled the size of the United States, and settlers pushed westward in search of new opportunities. However, this expansion led to conflict with Native American tribes who had lived on these lands for centuries. The nation also faced internal divisions. The issue of slavery, particularly in the South, caused growing tension between the northern and southern states. The conflict reached a breaking point in 1861, when the Civil War broke out. The war, which lasted until 1865, was fought over the preservation of the Union and the abolition of slavery. The North, led by President Abraham Lincoln, ultimately emerged victorious, and the country began the difficult process of rebuilding and reconciling the North and South. 6. Industrialization and global influence. The late 19th century saw the United States transform into an industrial powerhouse. The growth of factories, railroads, and new technologies, such as the telegraph and the telephone, created a thriving economy. The country also began to assert itself on the world stage, especially during World War I, 1914 to 1918, when it joined the Allied powers in a fight against the Central Powers. By the early 20th century, the United States had become a major global player, shaping world events and influencing international relations. It also became a symbol of the American dream, the belief that anyone, no matter their background, could achieve success through hard work and perseverance. 7. The Great Depression and New Deal. In 1929, the stock market crash ushered in the Great Depression, a time of extreme economic hardship. Unemployment soared, banks failed, and many Americans lost their homes. In response, President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal, a series of reforms aimed at revitalizing the economy and providing relief to the suffering population. The New Deal programs, such as Social Security and unemployment benefits, laid the groundwork for the modern welfare state and helped guide the country through one of its darkest times. 8. World War II and the Cold War. In 1941, after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States entered World War II. The war marked a turning point, with the United States playing a pivotal role in defeating the Axis powers and emerging as one of the two major global superpowers, alongside the Soviet Union. The war's end in 1945 led to the beginning of the Cold War, a period of political and ideological conflict between the two superpowers, lasting for several decades. The Cold War was marked by arms races, proxy wars, and intense competition in space exploration, with the United States sending the first man to the moon in 1969, symbolizing its technological and political supremacy. 9. The modern era, challenges and opportunities. The late 20th and early 21st centuries brought about new challenges and opportunities for the United States. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 signaled the end of the Cold War and cemented America's role as the world's dominant superpower. However, the U.S. also faced new threats, such as terrorism, especially following the September 11, 2001 attacks. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, the global financial crisis of 2008, and the increasing polarization of American society have all posed challenges to the country's future. Nevertheless, the United States continues to play a central role in global politics, economics, and culture. Conclusion. The story of the United States is a tale of triumph, struggle, and perseverance. From its beginnings as a group of rebellious colonies to its rise as a global superpower, America has always been driven by the belief in freedom, opportunity, and progress. While the country faces new challenges today, the core values that have defined its history, the pursuit of liberty, equality, and the American dream, continue to guide its future. The United States remains a beacon of hope for those seeking a better life, and its journey is far from over.